Happening, guys? Today I want to talk to you about rideshare and a bunch of different tips and tricks that I have for you. I did rideshare for well over a year, looking to get back into it coming up here. And, just thinking about it, I thought, why not make a video to help y'all out? Because I've seen an awful lot of talk about people struggling with different strategies on how to make money. And I really never had a problem with that. On top of my normal job that I was working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, I was also driving for Lyft in my free time, and I've used other platforms as well. And honestly, using rideshare, I was able to make, what was it, like $20,000, over $20,000 extra on top of what I was already doing through my normal job. So really, that's just telling you a little bit, not so much to brag, but to kind of give you my credentials. Yeah, man, I was a 5-star driver for well over a year. Did over 1,800 rides, and I never really had too much of a problem. Sure, there were certain customers that were difficult at times, but the honest truth is, my best advice to you with any difficult customers is do your best to diffuse situations, do your best to make it through that ride and make it the best ride you can for your customer in that scenario, and move on to the next one. Just let it roll off your shoulder and move on to the next one. Above all else, number one rule that I see when it comes to rideshare, when I see people struggling or complaining or making comments, the number one rule is the customer always comes first. The customer is always right. Now, obviously, that statement is taken with a grain of salt. However, much more seriously than what most people do. Nowadays, customer service has become this thing where people will consistently talk about, well, what if they say this, or what if they say that, or what if. None of that matters. None of that matters. If the customer doesn't want any music, if they don't like your music choice, they're right, dude. Yes, you got to enjoy yourself. That's kind of the point of driving Lyft, or driving a rideshare, or driving Uber, or whatever. But if you're not taking care of your customer and you're not basically catering to their every whim, you're cutting into your tip. The honest truth is, most people, when they feel like you've taken good care of them, will tip well. And if you're not seeing tips, maybe you're doing okay on the rides, but you're not seeing tips, and that's really what you're coming here for, is to figure out how to boost your tips. You got to take care of the customer, guys. The customer comes first, period. There's drunken disorderly exemptions. There's unruly customers. There's obviously those examples. But outside of that, just be honest with yourself. For the standard customer, you need to put them first. So I've taken some notes here just to make sure that I cover most things. Some other basic things once we get past the customer coming first is make sure your car is always clean. Depending on how much you've already made through rideshare or how much spare cash you have, I recommend washing your car at least weekly. If it's getting dirty, maybe more often. Keep in mind, for you guys that drive fancier cars, myself, I was ride sharing with a BMW X3. I qualified for Lux rides. The Lux rides were great. I do not recommend getting any of those cars, any Lux cars, any Lux Black cards, any Lux XLs, or XL period. I don't recommend upgrading your car past what you need simply to be able to qualify for higher rides. If you enjoy nicer cars, it's definitely an added benefit. I love sports cars. I love fast cars. I love nice cars. So for me, an X3 was great. I had bought that for my personal reasons, and then it was just an added benefit that I made that much more through rideshare. people often tip me more because I have a nice car. And on top of that, because I treat them well. So keep your car clean, guys. Keep in mind, if you have the fancier car like I was mentioning, don't go to an auto touch car wash. The touch car washes will scratch the living crap out of your car. You'll put swirl marks all over your car. And I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I did it with the X3. I do not do it with my Audi now. I have an Audi Q7 now. I do not touch it, and it looks so much better. Granted, I did put a ceramic on it, but those are also things you think about. Look into detailing. The nicer your car looks, again, the nicer your customer feels, the more you get tipped. If you know how to polish your car, always a plus. Then I more on the cleaning front, on top of the fact that you're going to be keeping the inside of your car clean. If you have leather seats, use leather cleaners. Use detailer on the dash. Use detailer on the back seats where they're going to be sitting. All those kind of things. On top of the fact that currently we need to be disinfecting for COVID procedures and whatnot. But make sure you're doing all those things. An added thing, if the company you're ride sharing for, which I'm pretty sure all of them currently, Uber and Lyft both, I'm quite positive, require you to wear a mask, wear your mask. It's up to you past that on what your policy is as far as your customers go. But for yourself, wear that mask. It's always better to err on the side of wearing a mask, and then your customer feels more comfortable if you're not already worried about spreading COVID. It's just whatever you can do to make your customer feel more comfortable, that's what you do. Obviously, if it becomes a thing where your customer feels uncomfortable because you're wearing a mask and you don't feel comfortable taking your mask off, that's obviously a conflict. The customer doesn't come first in that case because we're talking about health scenarios. Now, we move on to another thing of the interior of your car. Experiment with air fresheners. Air fresheners are always nice as long as they're not too horribly potent. You know, sometimes they do things like new car scent or different things like that. Try to find neutral ones. Try to find ones that everybody's going to love. Don't go with something that's way over the top. Me personally, like, I'll talk about one I didn't like. The leather scent one. There's one that was a leather scent. I thought, yeah, it'll probably be even cooler than the new car scent. No, it's horrible. Threw them in the trash. Don't do leather scent. That one does not work. Anyway, so non-offensive ones, more neutral things. It helps your car smell cleaner. You know, even a fresh linens or something like that makes it smell like you just cleaned your car. You know? Play neutral radio stations or neutral playlists. Top 40s are something I used commonly. Depending on the time of night, sometimes rap, R&B, hip-hop, but keep in mind hip-hop stations can get quite offensive. Alternative rock, like in the Denver area, we use alternative. I would use 93.3. Just about everybody in this Denver area loves 93.3. Never had a request to change it, and honestly, it never seemed to offend too many people. Mostly, I use Bluetooth. I have my phone connects through the car. I use Spotify and create stations from there. It's also came to my advantage when playing through my phone. People will request certain songs and different things like that. Keep in mind, safety first, guys. If you're changing songs or anything like that, do it at a stoplight, do it at the start of the ride, different things like that, obviously. Use voice controls if you have them, and that often works as well. But yeah, playing requested songs and stuff like that has always been an added bonus. Now, I add, and one of the reasons why I chose to wear a nicer dress-up shirt. This is about as casual as I would consider nicer dressing, or as casual as I would dress when I say dress nice. It's a collared shirt, you know. It's simple. I'm still wearing jeans. I've done this before when I drive Lyft. I'll wear a polo shirt or I'll wear a button-up shirt or something like that, something that's a little nicer, depending on the day. In the case of the X3, when it's all nice and polished and I'm doing night rides on a Friday night or something like that, I might be wearing my wingtips, I might be wearing khakis, dress shirt, the whole 9 yards, my hair's fixed all nice, I'm super groomed. Those are all things to make sure that I come across extremely professional. Those are the kind of things that get you bonus tips. I've gotten ridiculous tips, man, honestly. Anytime somebody says that, oh, it's the market, you're blaming it on a market when it's really you. Most of the tip problems come back to you as a driver and how you are treating your people. Sure, you're going to get the stingy people, but most of it all comes back on us. It's how we're treating our customers. So, another thing, when I said dressing nice and stuff like that, I'll even wear cologne. But I err on the side of less cologne because I know how many, at least with the guys, ladies, this will apply for you as well. As a man, I've been around some ladies that wear too much perfume. It's offensive. Guys, same thing. You wear too much cologne. I've heard multiple girls that I know that are friends of mine that will say too much cologne is a massive turnoff. And obviously we're not trying to play an attraction game, but if it's offensive to their nose and now they're trapped in a car with you, don't do that. Light on the cologne. I do like 1 spray. Normally I'll do 2 sprays if I'm going out and around, and I have some fairly nice cologne that lasts for half the day. I still do 2 sprays when I'm going on a date, 1 spray when I'm driving. That's kind of the comparison. You shouldn't be slathering all over. Guys, seriously, I've walked past some of y'all. Don't do that. So again, I don't recommend headphones. To each their own. I'm not a big fan of headphones while driving in general anyway, but I've seen some people when I request a ride that wear headphones, and to me it's a disconnect between the driver and the customer. And sure, some customers want to be left alone, but not all of them, and a lot of them don't. I would say a good 75% of my customers were engaged in conversation with me. Sure, I may talk a lot in general, but I also feel for those customers as far as if they don't want to talk. If somebody's got headphones in, like your customer's got headphones in the back seat and they're like oblivious, yeah, of course, it's a silent time. If they just kind of giving you 1-word answers or they just seem like cold or whatever, don't push it. Always err on the side of lighter. If they're not engaging you in conversation, just leave it. They ask questions, they ask things about Denver or about your area. Definitely make sure that you're somewhat educated on your area. Know some fun things to do. Know possibly some current events to do in the area. In Denver particularly, airport rides, consistently you have people ask, what is there to do in this city? What do you recommend? What do you like? What kind of dinner do you like in the area? Those are all things to keep in mind, keep in the back of your head. Those will get you tips. Like I said, man, when you're striking up a conversation, just read the room. And then if you have that bad customer like I spoke of earlier, just let it roll off your shoulder. Don't engage with them. Don't get argumentative. None of that stuff. Conversations, avoid politics, avoid religion, avoid money talk. We don't get into those things because those are heated topics. Those can be very risky if you don't know how to navigate those conversations. So when you're talking about making tips and getting good ratings, it's best to leave it alone. That's just it. If you're wondering how you can get better ratings, better tips, leave those topics alone. Don't get in a debate type conversation. Also, let bad ratings roll off. unless you're getting repeat bad ratings, especially if you're getting, like, say you've done 5 to 10 rides in a day or something like that so far, and you're planning on going longer, and you're starting to notice that you've got 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, 1 star after another, unless it's a system error, chances are you're doing something. You might be in a particular mood. You might be coming off a wrong way. That cologne might be too strong. Any of those kind of things. You might be coming off with a creeper vibe. Who knows? You have to analyze what you're doing and make the better decision. If that's not normal for you, maybe it's time to take the day off. Sometimes taking the day off when it's not your day is a better choice. Because otherwise, you get enough bad ratings, you get suspended, you get overlooked in the algorithm, different things. The honest truth is 5-star or nothing when it comes to the algorithm. Anything less than 5-star is that's not acceptable. Also, one more added thing, this one's a big one for me because I tend to swear a lot in conversation. I tend to not have a filter when it comes to types of words that I use. Control that. If you are like me, don't swear, don't be using God's name in vain or any of that kind of stuff. Keep it clean. Keep it like there's always a kid in the car. You'll be better off that way. So more onto it, where to drive, if you're having dry spells and stuff like that. I'll speak per Denver, and then just keep in mind that other big cities are going to be similar to this. Bigger cities like New York, Chicago, LA, Houston, whatever, those are going to be cities that obviously this applies even more, and there's probably even more venues. Smaller country areas, I'm sorry guys, I don't know what to tell you too much. I haven't done a lot of country driving. I'm originally from a small town, and the honest truth is I look at my small town and I say, okay, maybe I might be able to pick a ride here or there. But overall, rideshare is really, the money making's in the big city. So keep that in mind. But where to drive? So follow the bonuses, man. The algorithm, the program is set up to give you bonuses when that area is in high demand. There's also different demand charts that I've seen Lyft lay out over time. I've also seen Uber lay out some of these. Lyft has something called the queue. I didn't really do too much Uber at the airport, but Lyft has what we call the queue at the airport, and well, actually I know Uber does too because I've seen Uber drivers there. So when you drive out to the airport, you give somebody a ride to the airport. I don't recommend going to the queue unless you think it's a time where it's busy and it doesn't look like there's very many people there. So what I'm getting at there is most of the time it's overpacked and it's, well, not worth it. Some people think sitting in that queue for 2 hours is the smart idea. It's not. So we move on to times to drive. So we have late night times. This is something that I got pretty used to because my job is one where I travel on the road. So when I'm home, I'm not really working my job. I'm waiting for another call. That's when I would do rideshare. So when I do this rideshare, a lot of the time I would just set my schedule to a later night. I worked nights anyway. So if I would start, say, 7, 8 o'clock, maybe even do the dinner rush, move a little earlier, and work all the way to like 3 or 4 in the morning. Because here's where your hot spots are. You're going to have a hot spot of early morning from 4 to 9. Probably more specifically like a 5 to 8 time frame. As far as when the hottest part of that time is, obviously it's going to kind of go like this. But I say 4 to 9 as a shift. If you're just picking short shifts, I'm the kind of guy that if they let me drive all night, I'll drive all night. 12, 14 hours, whatever it was. I think now they're cutting people off at like 12 or less. But anyway, so early morning, 4 to 9. Lunch, 11 to 1's fair. Dinner, you're going to look at 4 to 9 again. And then after that 4 to 9 frame, you start moving into bar time. In the big cities, when you're not in areas like the Midwest or Wisconsin specifically, maybe Texas be included, just whether or not you're in a heavy drinking area. If you're in a heavy drinking or bar scene area, a lot of the time you're going to get quite a few rides. Denver's still got quite a few of those people. So our hot spot here is usually anywhere from like 10 o'clock all the way to friggin' 3 or 2:30, whatever you want to call it. Usually dies out right around 2:30 to 3. You're going to have people going to bar time. Keep in mind, if you're doing bar time, if you're getting around that 1, 2, 3 o'clock range in the morning, you're going to deal with unruly people. That's the nature of the beast. I heard a lot of horror stories about people puking in cars. I don't know if it's because I was driving a Beamer, but the honest truth is, no one ever puked in my car. Ever. I might, in 1,800 rides, I might have pulled over once for somebody. Otherwise, I never had one person puke in my car, and I had quite a few really drunk people in my car. So maybe it's a level of, I don't know, class, or a level of, I don't know what to call it. A level of respect, a level of class, a level of whatever the situation is, that people just felt like they wanted to give me more respect. Or hell, maybe it's just chance and I just got lucky. Because I heard quite a few stories. But I know the way my parents raised me. If I was in somebody's fancier vehicle, I best not scuff, get it dirty, none of the above. Like, you don't fuck up that vehicle. And most people were like that towards me when I was driving Lyft. But there were the few people that could care less. And, I mean, talk about full-on disrespect. Alright. So, bar time's probably your biggest profits. Events are another big thing. In Denver, we have a hockey team, the Avalanche. We have football, obviously the Broncos, the basketball team, the Nuggets. We have the baseball team, the Rockies. And then we have Red Rocks as a venue. That's our huge, iconic venue, one of the most iconic venues in the United States. We have Fiddler on the Green, or Fiddler's Green, whatever the hell it's called. We have places like Summit downtown. We have, well, basically through downtown, you'll get those concert ones, so that's not as big. But Red Rocks is out of the way. Fiddler is out of the way. Shit, I can't think of what the new one is. There's a new one on the north side of downtown Denver that I can't think of at the moment, over by 5 Points. But we have just several venues. First Bank Center, Pepsi Center, all these things. My point with that is, pay attention to events at these venues. Pay attention to sporting events. First off, traffic's a big one. So if there's a Broncos game in town, or in your city, there's a football game, baseball game, basketball game, whatever, traffic's going to be a bitch. Understand that. Know your ways around traffic. That's how you get bigger tips. I don't know how many times people are like, how the hell did you do that? Because I know how to avoid the general traffic flow. I was almost always against the traffic pattern, just because I was used to how the traffic pattern was. So when I say against the traffic pattern, or opposite, traffic's going this way, I'm going this way. It seemed to work 3/4 of the time. So know your traffic. Pick people up at these venues. Be around these venues when they let out. Huge profits. Red Rocks is always huge profits for me. Pepsi Center during Avs games or Nuggets games, always huge for me. Look up comedy shows. Look up, we have a convention center, so when Comic-Con's in town or different things like that, you're getting my point. Research these things. Sometimes the apps will even tell you some of the bigger events. But know where these events are. And then, yeah, man, any of the bigger cities, anywhere near downtown is going to be good areas for you. I also tend to like driving in Boulder, Colorado. If you're in the Denver area, Boulder, Colorado is a great area to drive. It seems to be kind of a higher income area, and people definitely take care of their drivers up in that area. I always got higher percentage tips. Don't be afraid, like Colorado area, I hear a lot of people being afraid to take some of the long drives, driving up to like the ski resorts and stuff. That makes zero sense to me, man. Driving up to Breckenridge, driving up to Aspen, oh, I'm worried about getting a ride back. Do you have any idea how much you'll make off those rides? Like, you drive to Breckenridge, you drive to Aspen, you'll make a shit ton of money to begin with, and then on top of that, you're also going to be able to pick up some rides in that town. You might pick up some rides on the way back. Who cares? Let it take you where it's going to take you. My general rule of thumb is if I have to drive more than 15 minutes to pick somebody up, it better be a damn long ride. And most of the time, if it's longer than 15 minutes, I just don't do it. When the app gets on one of its little freak outs, spritz outs, whatever you want to call it, where it's sending you 15 minutes to the next ride, like, man, you can find something closer. I'm not driving 15 minutes unpaid time. It's just not going to happen. But I don't recommend generally turning down multiple rides. Try to avoid turning down multiple rides in a row. If you're not ready to drive, just log off. Yeah, I think that just about covers it. I would say if you have any other questions, make sure to throw them down in the comment section below. Feel free to ask me any questions. I can just about guarantee you, if you follow my tips that I've given you, you will see a significant change in your driving. You got to give it time, though. It's not going to change the next day. It might not change the next week, but over the months, you're going to see a difference. Consistency is key. The more you're on the platform, the more rides you get. So, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think. If you have any other questions, this has been your boy Wisco Madman. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.